Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Well, welcome. We want to welcome everyone to our podcast. It's the National Comadres Network's once a month hosted podcast for the Healing Generations. And we want to thank you as you join us today from around the world, wherever you're at. Thank you for being with us. We know that you are choosing to be with us, and we do not take that lightly. So thank you for spending this hour with us and enjoying our guests that we will be interviewing today and having that opportunity and honor to be able to share another story of a woman's life. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be something that you hear that's going to bless your life. And so our goal always as the Healing Generation podcast is that healing, that when you hear what you hear today, you will come out just a little bit better than when you started. My name is Debra Camarillo, and I'm coming to you from Ohlone territory up in Hayward in the Bay Area. And I'm co-hosting with my comadre, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Maestra. Thank you. Susanna, Armijo, I'm so honored to be here, especially with our special guest today. I am coming to you from the Tangva people, the Camarillo people here in Los Angeles, California, East LA. It's a beautiful day out there today. Luckily, we have some sunshine. You know, it's been raining, and I know we need that water too, but we need that balance. I need that light, especially at this hibernating time of the year. So it was beautiful to wake up today and see that Tata Sol up there. Just looking forward to this new year and embracing it, trying to just remain open and surrender to whatever Creator sends our way, and asking for those blessings. And like I always say, primero Dios, as we go forward. Mm-hmm. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. I heard you were rocking and rolling over there early this morning, huh?
Oh, yeah, 4.2 over here in the Whittier, California area. It was a little wake-up call. Guess they were just greeting the new year, too, with a bang.
A little earthquake, yeah.
Glad it didn't get more serious. Yeah,
Great.
Thanks, comadre.
Well, you know, we love to be able to share with our audience, right? The many wonderful women that we have the pleasure of crossing paths with. And part of what we try to do is the acknowledgement, right? Because we come from so many different places. And to be able to feature and to hear and share stories from women from different parts of, Turtle Island of the United States and even from abroad. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, as a co-Mexican, right? I always say that, right? So my dad is Comanche Mexican blood, and my mother, the Puerto Rican Caribe blood. We would want to extend a blessing, Abimirumi, and Arahuaco, but blessings to all those that come with us, because the ancestry that you bring, your heritage, your legacy is so important. And at the end of the day, there's those core values that connect all of us, indigenous people from around the world. They all connect us. And this podcast, we're going to be able to be hearing from one of our other sisters from a different part of the United States, and coming in with us from Colorado, Denver, Colorado. So we're excited to have her on board with us in this next hour. So, comadre, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce her and share her with all of our audience.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Our comadre, our hermana, we love her. She is Miss Alma Mireles. She is a proud Mexicana-Indigenous mujer, a strong mujer, a mother of 4 beautiful children, and grandmother of 5. Also a very devoted wife for over 25 years. So that says so much right there. Very
Yes.
devoted to her familia and her partner. She holds a degree in paralegal studies and is also a certified violence intervention professional, a moral recognition therapy facilitator, a member of the Debt-Free Justice Committee, a member of HAVI, H-A-V-I, a community organizer, a former gang member, but she has also been in recovery for over 16 years. Congratulations. Oh, what an accomplishment. She's an advocate for youth, families, and focuses her work on advocating and supporting our Spanish-speaking community who really need it the most. Such a dedicated mujer. So happy to have you here with us, Alma. Just like to give you a chance to come on, introduce yourself, maybe share a little bit about yourself, your familia, your background, and maybe those that you're connected to at this time. Whatever comes from your heart. This is just a plática, a comadreando that we would like to share with you. So I'm going to pass the palabra to you and whatever you want to share.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Muchas gracias, first of all, to you both, Maestra Deb and Maestra Susie, for thinking of me and considering me. You know, I don't take this lightly, and I really honor your invitation and for you to invite me and thinking of me and bringing me into this space and inviting me to share my truth and my story. My name is Alma Mireles. I am a Mexicana-Indigenous woman from Torreon, Coahuila. I am a daughter. I am a wife. I'm a sister. You know, I've been married for 25 years. I met my husband when I was 16 years old. And, you know, we're from rival gangs. So we were not even supposed to be kicking it. We were not even supposed to be talking to each other, looking at each other, right? And so, yeah, and it's been 25 years, and, you know, we were not supposed to survive or live through a lot of the situations that were meant to break us and actually like kill us, right? But we're here together holding it down for ourselves and our family. We have 4 children. We recently bought our first home. We were homeless at one point in our lives together. We're both recovering drug addicts. We're both former gang members. You know, we have 5 grandchildren, all of them from our oldest son. So a lot of my lived experiences have really shaped where I am at now in the way that I connect with my community. I'm an outreach worker, so I work a lot with youth, right, in community and with the families. And a lot of the work that I do through the AIM program is hospital based. So what we do is whenever one of our young people is shot or stabbed or assaulted, we're basically there in the emergency department making sure that they receive the medical treatment that they deserve. Because oftentimes our young people who are Black and brown are treated as the offenders rather than the victims, right? And that really gets in the way of the way that they receive the medical treatment that they deserve. So we're just there to make sure that they're seen and treated in a dignifying way. Outside of that, you know, we do a lot of outreach work in the community. So this is where I'm at in my life right now. Just doing a lot of outreach work. Like I said, you know, I used to throw down chingadazos for the wrong reasons, right? And I still get down and throw chingadazos, but now it's for the right reasons.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, you have a story, and I think that's so relevant, especially in this day and time, right? Because we have, you know, you hear a lot, especially on social media or even on the news, and, you know, issues of immigration and just a lot of haters out there of things that they might not understand. And thank you for sharing that you know, you were born in Torreon, Coahuila, and crossed over. The lines crossed us over, but we're here, right?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit, Alma, about that journey, about, you know, what it was like, getting to the place, and then what really set you up, and how did you really get engaged in recovery and in a different way?
Yeah, Maestra. Well, thank you. We actually made this journey when I was about 5 years old because my dad passed away. And because my mom had been traveling back and forth from Torreon, Coahuila to Indio, California since the age of 11. She's the oldest of 13. So she had been traveling back and forth since the age of 11 during the summertime to help her family in working in her extended family's restaurant. So whatever money she made during the summertime, she would go back to Mexico, and that's how she would help provide at the age of 11 and forward, help with her younger siblings. So she knew that she had more opportunity as a single mom when my dad passed away. So she made the journey with us. We actually crossed over undocumented. My mom received her visa through the Braceros program in the 80s. And so for us to become legal, it took a long time, right? But she crossed us over undocumented. So, we had to cross over pretending that we were sleeping. That's all I remember about that. And I just remember that we moved to California, and it was a very difficult and scary situation for us. We didn't know the language. We didn't have any family. And, my mom had to work a lot of hours. And in that moment, it was hard for us because we didn't understand why she was gone a lot of the time. But that also, unsupervised children tend to get involved in really bad situations. And that's actually what led me into that gang lifestyle. So through her journey and through the migration journey, I think that this is part of the story that was shaping me. I think that my dad's passing is the real reason as to why I'm here today. And I didn't understand it in the beginning, but I honor it now. And I've learned to make peace with the pain of losing him, and I honor his sacrifice because I understand the reason why we had to go through all of those struggles.
And I think that that's so common, and it's a misconception, right? Because I think there's an idea out there as, oh, yeah, people just come because they want to come. And that isn't necessarily the truth. There's circumstances and situations, right?
Right.
In order for families to get better, in order for parents, they look and they say, oh, for my child to have a better life, or, and these intentions sometimes, or the reality of situations sometimes, they kind of get skipped over and then generalized as, oh, they're coming here to take what we have, which we know is furthest from the truth, right? And so how did that set you up, Alma, to get engaged with some of that? Or how did that all happen that you got into recovery and then actually turning that hard situation into this blessing of serving your community?
Well, Maestra, when I was right around my teenage years, my mom really saw that my life was really starting to go into a direction that she really didn't mean for my life to head. Right when she made the journey, she actually wanted to better our lives. Right, she wanted a life of opportunity. And opportunity wasn't easy for a single mom, right? With limited resources and limited support, it wasn't as easy as she thought it would be. It meant long hours away from your children. It meant, no family support. It meant no government assistance. It meant all of these things she was not prepared to face, right? And so with that came, the realization of, now, as a result of this, I'm seeing the symptoms of these things through my children. My oldest daughter now acting out, ditching school, hanging out with the older gang members. I can't find her in the middle of the night, me la están escondiendo, estos cholos, like, and that's scary for her, because here she is doing her best, trying to provide, and she doesn't understand why I'm being so rebellious, right? And so her brothers and sisters started to also make the journey. So they came to Denver, Colorado. And so she said, you know what? We're going to go. We're going to reroute. Let's rethink this. We're going to reroute. And I think I'll have a better support system with my brothers and sisters. So we came to Colorado. But obviously, I think that whenever someone is dealing with such levels of pain, it's not the environment. It's about what we hold within us, right? And so the location made no difference. And so the same patterns of behavior continued here. And I think this is when the gangs started to boom in the 90s in Colorado as well, because a lot of people started to come from California here to Colorado. And so I started to engage in a similar behavior here, and it actually began to get worse. I actually left my house and my mom wouldn't know anything about me for months, and that's when I started to really experiment with harder drugs. She wouldn't know anything about me, for months, days, weeks, for a long time, and sometimes I would only come home just to crash because I really needed that moment in time, those days, to just crash, right? Shower, sleep, eat, and then go back. So those were the only times that she would get to see me. And then I met my husband when I was about 16 years old in the streets. I was visiting my mom at that time, and I met him while I was visiting her, and he was living the similar lifestyle, and we really connected in that way. And I just really felt that he was someone that I had never experienced to be so caring and interested in me. And I became pregnant by him shortly after. And then we both were engaging in similar behavior. But then our son was born, and then we were both homeless, staying in a car, getting kicked out of places. And it was rough. It was very rough, but it was very real. And then, our son was born into this dysfunctional relationship and dysfunctional family setting. And I think that that's the reason that I connect so well with a lot of the families and community, because I understand that pain. In my previous place of employment, I received a lot of clinical training where, they say, it's mental health, trauma informed, culturally rooted, But when you really ask someone, explain that to me, what does that even look like? Even if they're facing it, they can't describe it, And I think that those experiences for me, having survived those experiences, allows me to see the soul of my clients, to really feel that pain because I've been there, And this is what I tell my clients, I can be like your downest advocate, but I'll also be your worst enemy because I will call you out on your shit. You can't bullshit a bullshitter, and I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm here because I love you and I care about you. If hope is there for me, it is there for you. Nothing makes me special. I'm not more special than you. This is something that we can both get through together. So I think that this is the reason why I had to live through all of these things so that I can actually see it and feel it and acknowledge it. And whenever I'm facing it, I can recognize it and really feel it, like I don't know how to describe it in words. I can only tell you that when I see someone, I know it. I recognize it. And this is the reason why I do what I do so passionately. And this is the reason why, I love to work in the community that I serve, because I feel that a lot of people can glorify or romanticize the idea of becoming heroes or saviors. But we're not here to save anyone. We're here to walk with them on their journey. We're just here to say, hey, you're not alone. I've been through here. I've been through here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I can walk with you, but I can't walk for you.
Wow. They're so fortunate, well, to have you put in their path, and as well as all those people that were put in your path, at the right time. I can't even imagine what that chapter was for you, growing up and getting pregnant early and being in that environment and then trying to work it out with your husband and being homeless. Like only you guys understand what that was like. We can only imagine. But there's something that we're so blessed to be in each other's presence during our Girasol training with Maestra and you and the other mujeres. And there's something that you shared there that just really sticks with me. And I guess because it's such a big issue right now for our youth. And that's the bullying in school. And I know you're familiar with some of the things that happened to me that were words that were shared that was very hurtful and soul breaking. And then having to rise from the ashes of that. I know it's happened to you. We see each other in that way. I was wondering if maybe you could help explain from your perspective and your own journey some teachings about that. Not just as the one being bullied or you bullying somebody else out of your own wounds, trying to survive and whatever that is. Maybe you can shed some light to help us understand what our youth are going through, what that feels like from both sides, to be the bullier or to be the one being bullied.
Yeah. Just recently, one of my daughters, who's 15, was in a situation where she was in school and she had been targeted by two sisters, one of them being a senior in high school. My daughter's a freshman, and the youngest sister being a freshman as well. And both sisters physically assaulting her and her having to defend herself. But as a result of defending herself, also facing the disciplinary actions that come from defending herself, and the school calling it a fight, right? And me having to face being presented with, do I press criminal charges on the oldest sister? And I remember having the meeting with the principal and being very clear. And I said, you know what? That is not an option for me. And I will tell you the reason why. I fight against these systems every single day of my life. And I'm put in this position where my child has been victimized in a way where she has been physically assaulted and has defended herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have two girls who have this pain inside of them, who feel that it is their right to hurt someone else. And the only option that feels like it's the only correct option at this point is the criminal charges. I fight against these systems. So this is not an option for me right now. So I'm in a tough situation, but I'm still against this, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
what we've done in this situation is be present in that school, create healing circles in that school, making sure that my daughter and her group of friends who have felt hurt by that school and the administrators feel validated. They feel safe when they go into that school, right? Making sure that as much as these administrators have taken the disciplinary action against my daughter and her group of friends and these other two girls, that they also hold themselves accountable for the lack of acknowledgement that they've lacked to present to these girls, right? And so they've also they failed to create a safe space for these girls and for the whole school. So, I've been very intentional about the way that I proceeded, because I know that the way that I showed up had to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
It had to bring healing, not just for my daughter. I was pissed off. Like, if it would have been back in the day, I would have, let me tell you, okay? Let me tell you, you know?
Right.
But we're in a different place. And it's about transformational healing, and I
Yes.
understand that. And it's about bringing collective healing, not just for my daughter,
Mm.
but for the whole school and for the students to come after my daughter, you know? And I made sure that I
Mm.
told them this school is not just a school. You might have to drive miles to get here. My suegros have been living here for over 25 years. There's generations of my family that have been coming to this school for years. This is not just one school. This is part of who we are. And this is the reason why we protect it. It's more than just this fight, you know? And so that is the approach that I took for that, you know? But I just think that it's very important that we acknowledge that when we hold all this level of unhealed pain, you know, it does come out in an aggressive way, in a way that, you know, it doesn't serve us or it doesn't serve others, you know? I also extended an invitation to the school. I said, I can't work with these two students that assaulted my daughter because that would be a conflict of interest. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But let me connect these two girls to other community resources that I know are here, you know, that can also help them. So I did that also, you know, because it's about how are these girls going to show up in our community, because they are part of our community and our community is part of our family. You know, it's not just the school.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you know, that's a very important point, right? So you talked about a cultural intervention, which is the círculo, you know, and I remember doing some work because these are traditional ways that we would come together and resolve issues or celebrate issues. And I remember I was working in a local high school in San Francisco that had so many fights, especially lunch. Everybody's fighting, right? And so we took some drums. And so every day for lunch, you know, I would set up a circle of drums. And at that time, my brother was working with me. And we would just sit there and play the drums. And anybody who wanted to play the drums could come and sit down in front of a drum and join us in the drum circle. And so at first, when we went there, they were like, what the heck? What are you guys doing? What? I said, join us. You know, we didn't say, don't do this or don't, come on in, an invitation. And I'm telling you, those rhythms that beat deep inside of our DNA, right, started to regulate the environment and that vibration started to go out. Well, let me tell you, when we finished there, lunchtime didn't have no more fights. You know, people were actually laughing and you can hear people playing around and they wanted, where's the drum circle? You know, and I just bring that up because it's a cultural intervention. There are things that we did with each other that sometimes we forget are so powerful, like dance, you know?
Right.
And so I'm wondering, Alma, what other cultural things do you do and how do you integrate culture, cultura, into the work that you do with your youth and your families? What are some of those things and what are some of those outcomes?
You know, it's the community engagement, you know, the girls and the boys that I'm working with, you know, reconnecting them to the land. There was recently an activity that we completed in community at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Refuge, where we actually collected the semillas from the girasoles, right? And we're going to be offering them back in the springtime, you know, giving them back to the land, but also the archery. So they actually completed two different activities during that day, and just like educating them about the girasol and the cultural relevance and the significance of it culturally for us, right? And the boys paying attention as much as the girls. It was very beautiful and powerful. So just taking every single moment in every single space in community. We tend to believe that it has to be very difficult or it has to be very mystical. It doesn't. You know, we're people of spirituality. We're people of prayer and connection and relationship. And I just think that every single moment is a teaching moment. And so every moment that I'm blessed and honored to spend with my youth or my families, just last night I spent over an hour, you know, praying with one of the moms that I'm working with. We had court this afternoon. So during the training, I had to kind of disconnect a little bit so I can actually hop on Zoom for the hearing. But last night I had to, after the training, I had to like pray with her for almost an hour, because we knew that today was going to be a very big and important day. And letting her know, we've done everything we can. We've implemented all the services that we could humanly put in place. We just got to let creator do his job. We have to trust that there's a greater purpose and a greater plan, and we need to let that plan unfold. you know Human power is human, and it's attached to this. We need to let the divine intervention take its course, you know? And I think that's the reason why actually the hearing went very smooth this afternoon, because before then, she just wasn't in a good place. But it's also like connecting her with, I understand you as a mom, but I've also been there as him as a juvenile. And I understand your pain because my mom has been through that pain of not knowing, being so uncertain, right? And being so frustrated because you want a different outcome, but then your child is not making the right choices for that outcome to happen. And it's out of
Mhm.
your control. You just have to trust that divine intervention will do its job. And I told her,
Absolutely.
I'm living proof of that. Just believe and trust, because there's a greater purpose. There is a greater purpose. And
Mhm.
so this is how I work with my families. Every single moment, I really make sure that I stay connected to everything that has actually helped me through the toughest moments of my life, which is prayer, connection, silence, reflection, right? It's just the simplest things. I used to call it isolation. Now I call it coming back to spirit. I understand it now. There's a difference.
Right, right. Powerful. Divine intervention. So true. And for those of us who have been blessed to be divinely guided at the right time, at the right place. You know, you say that, and in reading your bio, the thing that really spoke to my soul was your miraculous divine intervention of being able to be in recovery for 16 years. I can't imagine what it took for you to get there. What was that moment that just was the turning point? And I guess it really speaks to my heart because unfortunately I lost two of my brothers to a meth addiction, and a lot of family members through the years, a lot of friends. Sometimes you always think like love will fix it. Like if you love them up enough, they'll pull through. And it's right when you talk about these choices. We're all blessed with the same gift of being able to choose and choose what's best. I guess what I'm curious to know from you on your own journey, your own experience with addiction, what was that turning point for you? And maybe just share for others that may be struggling with that, those palabras of hope for recovery and not giving up going forward.
Well, Maestra, just as I mentioned earlier, when my mom made the journey to California as a single mom, we were left alone for very long periods of time, right? And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand. I just felt alone and abandoned for a long time. And so I held a lot of resentment against her, mostly because there was a lot of really bad things that happened to me when she was gone, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so when I became a mom, I was already doing drugs. And, my son was actually tested for drugs. I remember that they placed a little plastic bag on his penis. He was less than 24 hours old. So, for me, I still live with that. He dropped his first UA before he was 24 hours old, and I live with that. And that still didn't change me. We still had to go through more struggles and challenges. And, we talk about a rock bottom. And sometimes that rock bottom still finds another rock bottom. And there was a moment of my life where I remember my son was 8 years old. And I was getting ready to leave for a weekend of partying, and my son was asking me, Ama, are you going to go out again? And I wouldn't turn back to see him because I was too busy looking at myself. I was like, trying like, oh, okay, I gotta go, right? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, Ama, are you gonna go? And yes. Like, why do you keep asking me? Like, it was bothering me. And he just went silent. And that silence was just kind of a different type of silence for me. And when I look back to see my son, and he looked back, the look on his eyes, I could see the sadness and abandonment that I felt as a kid. I recognized it. I felt it. The only difference was that I was the one causing it. It was no longer my mom. And so for me, something just clicked. I call that my divine intervention. I call that my divine intervention. God spoke to me through my son's eyes, because I understood that moment. That was a very critical moment of my life. That was a life-changing
Yes.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
If I wouldn't have looked back in that moment, I don't know if I would still be here or alive, or if I still would have had my kids with me, you know? And so that is the moment of my life that defined the reason why I'm here right now. Because I understood that level of sadness and abandonment. I understood that what I was creating, and because where I found myself in life in that moment, I understood where my son was heading. And so I decided not to go out that night. And it was one of the hardest decisions that I had to make. And I remember as I continued to stay away from people and not go out and seek this, and the high levels of anxiety, because nobody understands unless you've been there, especially being a Mexicana, right? Like, like you don't hear about this culturally. And when I look back, I just remember the moments of when I would have the cravings and the anxiety and being on my bed and tossing and turning, it just, hating myself and asking God, why me? Why can't I be normal? Right? And just like literally praying and pleading, let this be over. I don't like feeling like this. So it was really hard. I can't say that it's not. But what kept me going is understanding that in that moment, I knew where my son's life was heading, and I didn't want that for him. And I think that the biggest motivator for me have always been my children, because I understand that my purpose is bigger than I can even understand or process. And although I know that I have a mission here, I'm still in the process of fully grasping that mission, right? So I love doing what I do. I give fully of myself with a full-hearted intention, but I can't tell you that this is it for me. I know that there is more for me to learn and grow and give. And, I feel that the reason why we go through these things, this is why we earn our stripes, is because there's still soldiers in the battlefield, right? Who feel that they're not understood, or that other people don't really understand them, or they don't really, people don't really understand or see them. And then there's people like us who say, hey, tú eres mi otro yo. Yo te veo, yo te siento.
Thank you, Mother. I appreciate your transparency and just being so willing to be vulnerable and honest and authentic. We need to know this. We need to know how it is, to understand how we can continue supporting.
Yes.
Gracias a Dios, you're here. Such a blessing.
And the truth of it, right? Because it is a difficult journey. It is a difficult journey. I've often said, When you come into recovery on this healing path, it's the hardest journey you will ever embark on. And I just want to thank you, Mia, for sharing that, because I know that there's other women out there, there's mujeres out there, there's our sisters out there that are struggling. They're in that position. I remember my own life and being in that position and crying out and saying, man, I need help because I can't do it. And you don't know what to do. But the mere fact that you're here, that I'm here, there's others here that today are able to live a different life. That is the vision, right? That is the hope that anyone on this path, they can also change their lives. And so, if you're struggling out there today, if you're a mom out there today, and if you find yourself, using and trying to stop using or stop drinking, and you feel that you haven't been able to get out of it, even though you want to, let us encourage you today. There is a way out. There's people in your community that want to help you. And it's a lie to say, once a dolphin, always a dolphin. It's a lie to say, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Because we are living testimonies that can be broken and healing can come into your life. So thank you. And we don't want our moms too, because I know working with moms, it's so easy to get consumed with the guilt, right?
Yes.
But if we can remember, it's the way that we deal with pain. There's no one that's born that says, you know what, I want to grow up to be a dolphin. I want to grow up to be an alcoholic. I want to grow up to go to prison. No, we don't. It's life circumstances and the pain and the way that we deal with pain. Addiction is all about dealing with pain. And with that, Alma, I want to ask you, you work with youth, and so what would those consejos be that you could give to our little youngsters out there, and also to the women, to the mujeres, to our sisters out there? What consejos can you give them, or would you like to give them, of encouragement?
Whenever I enter a space, I don't enter with extra letters after my last name. I don't hold all these fancy degrees I enter with my name, my last name, and my lineage. That's who I enter, and that's how I enter, right? I enter with intention. I enter with a full heart. And something that I learned early on from one of my mentors is, we don't connect with people through accreditation. We connect with people through our stories and our pain and our struggle. And so as long as we keep that in mind, that we are all connected through our stories, through our humanity, through our sacredness, through our spirit, we can all make it through. And that we all hold the medicine within us. And it is our duty and our obligation to share it and also to receive it from others, right? Because, for me, what I received from my son in that moment was clarity, And he didn't know that he was doing it, but he did it. And all it took was intention. And I just think that we all hold the medicine and we just have to be very, very mindful about receiving it and be willing to receive it, right? Because sometimes we think that, well, I'm not going to listen to you because who are you? You're not an expert. None of us are an expert at anything, right? We're only here to pretty much comfort each other and help each other through this journey. That is all we're here for. And so that's what I would just share with other people, and your story is worth sharing and it's worth telling, and you matter and I matter and we all matter. And I've learned so much from different people. And, something that I also hold very dearly to me is something that one of my friends told me. You got to show people the money And me not being a materialistic person is like, "Mama, fool, what do you mean I got to show people the money? I'm not a millionaire. What the hell?" He's all like, think about it, And what that means to me is like my lifestyle is what is going to let people see what they want to achieve, right? So if I'm speaking to a young person and say, you can actually make it out, you can actually live a different life, my lifestyle needs to reflect that. I have
Yes.
to be able to live what I tell them, not just in their presence, outside of their presence.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? My lifestyle needs to be reflective in everything that I do. So
Mhm.
that's the consejo. If you're going to be talking about it, you better be down with it. Be about it.
Right. Oh, thank you, mija.
Yeah, so that's what we say, right? Practice what you preach. Live the teachings, right? Or don't share them. Well, it has been such a pleasure to sit with you and such wonderful words of healing and inspiration. And, we're so grateful for you taking your time. And I know you're later than we are, so I know it's late for you. But thank you for spending this time with us. And I'm just wondering, do you have any last words?
Well, I just really want to thank you both for inviting me and for seeing me. I want to be intentional and acknowledge you.
Mm,
We had the altar this afternoon during our training. And, I brought my medicine bag that I created with both of you over the fall during our Girasol training. And I said,
oh,
I want to be intentional about bringing this medicine bag because I want to acknowledge Maestra Deb and Maestra Susie for being
mm,
mujeres de palabra and being mujeres that are paving the way for younger mujeres like myself, and teaching us and guiding us in a good way and,
mm,
acknowledging us and seeing us, because I felt in the past, disposable. I didn't matter.
mm, mm,
And thank you. Thank you both for being
mm,
the light, the guidance, the girasol, the semillas,
mm,
las raíces,
mm,
el tambor, el aire, el fuego, la lluvia, la luna. I appreciate you
mm,
both. And
mm.
so I'm really honored and I really appreciate you both for extending the invitation and thinking of me and creating the space for these pláticas that really does help our community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
that.
mija.
Comadre, would you?
And la catch. You are my other me, mija. I love you. Thank you so much. And, we're always here to support you in any way that we can and want to continue walking with you and providing for you in any way that we can support in any realm, professionally, personally, whatever that is. Please tuck that away into your corazon, your big corazon there. And just know you are a divine intervention for more people than you'll ever realize, and especially for us. Gracias. Thank you, Mia. Adelante.
Yes, yes. And thank you. And, part of what we teach when we talk about, Indigenous teachings is that we honor all our relations. And I just want to take a minute right here. Right before the end of the year, I lost my dog that I had for 15 years, named Quetzin Bahaku. And we honor all those relations. And I want to offer that up to everyone hearing that because her name means it's Nahuatl. That means Quetzin is Nahuatl for beautiful. Pahaku is Taino or Arawaka. That means morning light. So it means beautiful morning light. And I just want to offer to all those that are listening, you might be going through so many difficult things. But remember, in the morning, there will always be a beautiful morning light. The darkness does not last forever. And so my year is dedicated to that in her honor remembrance. And I just want to share it with all of our listeners. So with that, I just want to thank you. Thank you for joining us on Healing Generations, the hosted one by the National Comadres Network. We're so grateful, Alma, for being with us today and bendiciones and blessings to your work over there in Denver, Colorado, and to your youth and your families as you continue to lead with your coworkers that work out there. And also to remind those that are hearing, if you go online, National Comadres, under the National Compadres Network, their webpage, you will find the activities that we have. We have a virtual circle that happens every month. We have newsletters that go out. There's other podcasts on healing generations and a wealth of information there. So we encourage you, if you want to stay connected, that's the place to go, plus our social media. And so you're welcome to be engaged in that way. So with that being said, we're going to be signing off. And so, bendiciones over here from Hayward, California. And this is Debra Luis Camarillo saying, thank you for joining us, and bendiciones as you continue to go on. And comadre.
Susanna, Armijo, gracias a todos. God bless you with this new journey as we enter into this new year, and keep going forward. Primero Dios.
And our guest.
Muchas gracias a todos. Bendiciones. Feliz Año Nuevo. Keep doing your best because that's the best we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, Mateo.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.